So, first things first.
First things first.
How are you?
I'm good. You?
I'm very good, thank you. So, an easy question to begin with.
Yeah.
Do you remember the first album you ever bought?
The first album. The thing is, I bought like techno records when I was like 15 in 1992, but these were EPs, so it was no albums. I don't know when there was like albums, it was more like compilations at that time. So I remember 13 Deutschmarks, 90 cent for the German or Central European record, 17.90 for the UK import, 18.90 for the US import. So it was more like EPs at that time.
Okay.
And now I'm not really buying albums.
So from a very early age on, then it was electronic music for you?
Yeah, I just stepped directly from that stage where you are a child and listen to everything into techno. So it was the first thing I got like youth-wise socialized with. So there was nothing in between that childhood and the techno thing. So.
And when you are that young, you can't go to clubs or those kind of things? So.
We tried, with 15, we tried to go to Bunker, you know, let's say one of 5 times we made it, and they didn't ask for the ID card. Most of the times we didn't make it.
But when you went there, did you focus on the music when you were there?
Oh yeah, we were dancing all the time. You know, it was nothing like it's today, because we also didn't know any one of those older people going there, so we were actually just buying ourselves one cola and then dancing till 5 in the morning, and then taking the first S-Bahn home, first public transportation.
Right. And by this time, were you making your own music already?
No, not yet. First songs I started to assemble in maybe in 96.
Okay.
At the beginning, not at the beginning, I didn't even know. It was like DJing. I didn't even know, oh, you're right, some people produce those records. And but then from 96 on, from 97 also, I like started to prepare this live show to be able to present it like this. So that was like quite early. I knew I don't want to play records.
Because how did that transition go from being a consumer in a way of music to a producer of music? How did you?
I didn't see myself as a consumer, because I bought like I couldn't afford many records, but the ones I could afford, I played in those youth clubs. So I didn't see myself as a consumer in that way. Okay. I was just not that far that I realized I need to produce my own music and go on stage to present only my own music. That took some years.
And did you know that was kind of the direction you wanted to go in, that you wanted to be a musician early on?
Oh yeah, that was, I did not expect or foreseen anything of the size or anything, but that by the work, it's exactly what I wanted to do, yeah.
Okay. And what was then the first song that you produced that you thought, okay, now I'm on to something, this is going in the right direction?
Oh, there were many who are lost on old DAT tapes, because like the ones who were then released that came, or even a couple of years later, maybe 99, 2000. So there's something we could maybe do one day. I did already go through that old DAT tapes. It's enough for an album, like the early years. It's like underproduced and not really complex yet, but it has some charm. And I was going through those DAT tapes already, and maybe one day we can release that as an early years album. So let's say the first 2-3 years you produce for yourself and not for the public. And
well, you say you went through these early recordings. Do you hear kind of what you were trying to do?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You hear especially what you were not able to achieve because of lack of equipment and also lack of skills.
And then when do you think did your skills and equipment catch up with what you had in your mind?
Even when I listen to my very first recordings, I sometimes think maybe I should have waited another year. So after releasing, like it started to be that I said, even now you realize a lot of was because of a lack of equipment. You know, it was a very anachronistic studio. That's why I play live today like this. It was all like on this mixer. I recorded on the tape. Even though also in the mid-90s there were computers around for hard disk recording, I did not have that. So,
and now, especially in electronic music, the technology is developing so quickly. So, do you have to keep up with that, or like you say, do you just stay with?
Of course, I use nowadays like big sound cards and computers, but the actual setup of the live set is like a 90s music techno studio. You know, where everything from synthesizer and drum machines runs into a mixer, and then you do everything there.
And is it important for you to have it this way?
Yeah, no one else plays like this. So. And I think if I would have learned to make music on a computer, I would not have those skills, only because that was the way I recorded my songs, and often like 20 times, you know, like, oh, that's a very good thing, oh, 5 minutes, and something wrong, and then I had to go back on the tape. So sometimes 20 times, you know, and this is a good school.
And in terms of the live performance then, what does it add to your live performance?
That I actually can rearrange my songs every night. So especially like the last weekends, you know, it's like a long show, 2.5 hours. And yeah, even if I try to play the same like the night before, it's quite impossible to do so. Because there's no timeline, there's nothing prepared. And yeah. Every night everything can happen. So
yeah, can you surprise yourself?
I can, absolutely.
Do you have an example of a time?
Like how things developed? That like after years, I tell to myself, oh, that's how the song actually should have been, you know. But it took another 3 years of living it until it's in this form, and it's even then it's developing.
That's an interesting thing, because with the most producers that I've spoken with, they say a song essentially is never finished. It just keeps on.
That is true, especially with the nowadays production techniques who are what's possible. But this is when you produce the music in the studio. There in the studio, only have a computer and mouse and this. And there is the most important thing, to know when to let it go, because like potentially you could work till the end of your life on something. So it's also to know when it's ready to let it go, because it could get worse from trying to make it better.
Is that difficult to
that is difficult. It is the most difficult thing. It's also the only thing you can learn other from experience. So there is no young producers who just know this by feeling. Maybe someone tells him, or just he knows, oh, this is the time I should use. But the more years you make music, this is what grows the most, that you actually know how it should be at the end and how it should not become, because of all the possibilities you have. And
well, you have your latest record, 7. When you start on a project like a new album, do you have in mind kind of a sound or a narrative of what the album should be?
There was a narrative for 7, what was like spring, you know. We actually wanted to release it a little bit earlier last year, you know, for some like logistic reason, and also because it was first timer on Sony, so it took until August. But the idea was to release it in spring, and so it was supposed to sound, you know, even though it's very abstract, there's nothing you can say, so now it should sound like this. Sure. But the all-over idea was supposed to be spring, you know, hopeful, very melodic, very not dark, no actual club music, you know, so, and yeah, that was the motto.
In that sense, is the music you make, is that a reflection of where you are in your own life? You say it's very, very happy and...
I think it's a reflection. I cannot tell what, because it's very abstract, you know, like it's like music doesn't come from, I saw the sunset and I'm so inspired and now this music is there. You know, it's often a lot of work to that music you want to do. But yes, yeah, you become older, you become smarter, and also the skills become better. So 1.5 years sitting on 7, at the end of that production process, I was even like ahead of where I was at the beginning.